Good people, what is going on? Another episode of the All Go Podcast. I'm your host, Desmond. Thank you for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. Um, a lot happened over this weekend and within the last week or so. First, definitely want to talk about the Lions. They lose to the Rams 41-34, I believe was the final. They were on the road in LA, lose. A pretty tough game. I mean, there's a lot of people that think the Rams are the best team in the NFL, and the Lions played them pretty close. I believe we were up 3 at the half, if I'm not mistaken, 3 or 7. It was a one possession game at the half. And really what a lot of it came down to was the second half, we didn't score enough and just couldn't quite get stops. And it sounds pretty simple because it's that, right? That's literally a reason any team loses any game. But in the first half, I thought Dan Campbell was terrific as far as his play calling. I thought Jared Goff was absolutely dialed in. I thought the O-line did a great job run blocking. They gave him plenty of time. He had a couple plays where he was pressured, but I mean, all in all, for as terrific as a defense, especially up front, the front four that the Rams have, I thought the Detroit Lions O-line did a great job, and they've kind of struggled from week to week and game to game. Some of it due to injury, which is understandable. You've got backups in, guys are moving all around. Even Penei Sewell yesterday in the game was in the injury tent for a while, but it looks like he basically got kind of taped up and was back to it. So, first half the Lions they played pretty well. We had the missed field goal by Jake Bates on the first possession. Not something I'm going to go crazy about. In the NFL, I mean, it's a game of margin. It's so small, the difference between winning and losing. But when you look at, number one, that missed field goal, and then you also look at the field goal that the Lions defense gave up at the end of the first half, which was mind-blowing, that makes a big difference in the game. And with that possession, with DJ Reed, I'm just not quite sure how you're not in almost like a prevent style defense. Like, I don't understand why you would be that aggressive when you know they need to get down the field in a hurry to give up, such a long completion. It was just super disappointing. But offense first half was rolling and moving the ball, scoring points. I mean, 24, I think we had at the half. That's a great first half. We've got a great offense, and when we're rolling, we're pretty darn good. And in second half, we still scored points, but we weren't as efficient as we were in the first half. I thought the play calling in the second half was pretty good. But I feel like a broken record because I say the same things about the Lions offense on a regular basis. We get a little pass happy. I mean, I think at one point we went, 3-4 passes in a row. In a time in a game where that the other team has a really good quarterback, has a really good offense, like that's when you want to kind of slow it down a little bit to try to keep him off of the field so that he, can potentially get out of rhythm. Stafford's a great quarterback, so it may not have mattered anyway. But then also, too, once again, David Montgomery, 7 carries versus Jahmyr Gibbs, 13. And I do think Gibbs should get more carries than Montgomery, but it's just 20 run plays is what we ran, and I think we had 41 pass plays. Like, even though Goff was rolling and the offense is rolling, I still don't think we want to be that much out of balance. And Monty just brings a different kind of physicality to our offense that we are just simply missing when we don't give him the ball. And when he scored was that a 2-point conversion or a touchdown? When he scored the touchdown, there was not a celebration there from him specifically. He scored it, got up and just kind of jogged to the sideline, and he to me he looked like he was pissed. And I understand it because I get pissed. I'm like, why do we not give him the ball? And once again, said it before, I am a huge Jahmyr Gibbs fan. I'm an Alabama fan. So I knew what the Lions had when they drafted him. I'm like, this dude is electric. Super, incredibly fast, a speedster home run hitter. Great out of the backfield. Like, so many positive and good things from Jahmyr Gibbs. But once again, I just think we are missing that physicality that we had the last 2 seasons. And I think Monty is a part of that. Dan seems to be just enthralled with Gibbs, and Gibbs is just going to get the lion's share of the carries, and that's just kind of where it's at. So Lions just lose a tough one. It puts the playoff hopes in jeopardy. I think the worst, bare minimum, we've got to win out. Like, that has to happen, I believe, for us to even have a chance to make the playoffs. But we're definitely put ourselves behind the 8 ball. This was a game where you would have loved to get that. It's a conference game. Obviously the Rams are, I think, the 2 seed, the way it stands today. 1 or 2 seed, I can't remember. But yeah, that's just one you would love to be able to close out and finish out, and unfortunately didn't do that. So it's tough loss. We've got the Steelers next Sunday. It's tough because while that should be, a game that we just go dominate the Steelers, I don't think they're that good of a team. But it's harder to kind of make that case that the Lions are some, juggernaut when we're basically just going back and forth. We win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game. So it's tough. We'll see what happens, but these last 3 games are going to be critical. We've got the Steelers, Vikings, and who was our last game? Is it the Bears? I know we played the Packers already. Let me check the Detroit Lions schedule real quick. So we go, Steelers this upcoming Sunday. Then we play on Christmas Day against the Vikings, and then we have the Bears January 4th, our last game. So you got to win out, and then we'll see how it goes as far as schedule. So that is it for the Lions. Some unfortunate news as far as injuries. Yesterday was crazy. We had Patrick Mahomes tear his ACL. Micah Parsons tore his ACL. Both of those guys obviously are done for the season. And for the Chiefs, they were already fighting an uphill battle. Even with the win, they were still on life support when it comes to trying to make the playoffs. But they lose the game. They are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. And you just wonder what that's going to be next year as far as Mahomes. I think where we're at with modern medicine, he's going to be back. It's going to be fine. But you just wonder how, what that's going to look like, right? On one hand, he's not a Lamar Jackson type of quarterback, but he does have some mobility. He can move. So you kind of want to be cautious there. But, also too, you wonder, the Chiefs have had 7 years in a row of deep playoff runs, multiple Super Bowls they've won, 2 Super Bowls winning 2 Super Bowls back to back, and then, last year making the Super Bowl once again. They've been drafting 30 at the latest. Basically 31 or 32 for the last, couple of years. You wonder if you throw Gardner Minshew out there, and that pick he threw was quite awful, but, Chargers are a good defense, but, I've heard this, but you wonder if they're going to give him like a redshirt year. Even if you say, an 11 to 12 month recovery time for the surgery and all that, build him back up, that confidence in the knee that you need to have. That's going to put him at the end of next season. So who knows what that's going to look like, right? If let's say you're 5-10 by this time next year, with potentially Travis Kelce retiring You got a couple other guys that are a little bit older. Like you wonder what that's going to look like. Do you roll out Gardner Minshew? Do you try to find someone who's cheap, kind of stopgap, for a year? I mean, really, Gardner Minshew is the guy that you would think about for that, that role. So who knows what's going to happen? Andy Reid is the head coach, and I know he's not looking to have a redshirt year or a year. You're telling me we're just going to purposely not have Patrick Mahomes play, all of the season? Like, you've got to get him on board with that plan, which I think if you can package it correctly, he might be on board with it. Where you could say, Coach, this would potentially be the best, challenge that you've had as far as coach. You never want to say, well, this is the best coaching job you've ever done. No, he's done that before as far as, right, done a great coaching job. I've won Super Bowls, we won back-to-back, and we've done it different ways. So, no, I know what I'm doing in that regard, but you just wonder what that's going to look like. So, yeah, unfortunate, for Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's probably the most famous player in the NFL. So it stinks to see him go down. And then for Micah Parsons, it's a big deal for Green Bay. Make no mistake. I know against the Lions, he was terrorizing us, especially in the last game we played them a few weeks ago. It wasn't great. So yeah, that's a huge loss for that defense. They still have some really good players on that defense with Rashawn Gary and other guys that they have there, but he was a huge part of that. And then also you couple it with Christian Watson goes down as well. Not quite sure what his injury was. They said chest, shoulder, arm. So he's one guy that they've been without for a good chunk of the season. He just can't seem to stay healthy. So you could live a little bit more with that injury, but with Micah, it definitely changes things a lot. So we'll see, what happens there with the Packers, but just a huge loss and some big injuries, yesterday with the NFL. Couple things college-wise. So just saw DJ Lagway and Childs, who is so Lagway is the quarterback, Florida. He's in the transfer portal. And I believe it's Aiden Childs is the Michigan State quarterback, has also jumped in the portal as well. I saw someone post along with the DJ Lagway, announcement that, oh man, this is really going to shake up the quarterback market in college football. And my initial thought was, is it? I mean, I think DJ Lagway, obviously 5-star recruit, highly touted, all that good stuff. That doesn't change. But on the flip side, he's played enough football to where we're not looking at the potential anymore. It's what have you done on the field? And he hasn't played well. Like, just flatly has not played well. He turns the ball over a lot. Hasn't scored a lot of touchdowns. I think he's like 28 touchdowns, and what did he have for this past season? He had like 16 touchdowns and like 12 interceptions. I mean, he's not played well. So someone is going to absolutely go after him and put quite the NIL package in front of him, just because it's just such a. It's almost the NFL or the QB scarcity that the NFL sees. We overdraft quarterbacks every year because there is such a shortage of high-level play at the quarterback spot. And the same, I think, is going to happen with, DJ Lagway and Aiden Childs. But Lagway he's not been tearing it up. So while I do think, yes, someone's going to go after him, this isn't, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. So we'll see. And I'm sure once the season wraps up, we're going to see a lot more guys jumping in the portal and moving around, shuffling. Depending on how the Alabama-Oklahoma game goes, I mean, if Ty Simpson doesn't play well, and I'm not saying that, Alabama would get rid of him or anything like that, but I could see him wanting to have a fresh start or have a change and potentially go to a different school. Um, like I said, he's looked like such a different quarterback from that stretch of games that Alabama had from the four ranked teams in a row to from that moment moving forward. It would lead me to believe that he is injured, but also too, sometimes it just happens. Guys get on streaks, good and bad, where maybe he was just on a hot streak when we ended up beating those ranked teams, and maybe he's just now on a cold streak. But he's been making bad decisions. I mean, there was a pass he threw against Georgia where they showed the camera angle from like behind the quarterback but above, and I have no idea what he saw. It was just a sea of Georgia Bulldogs, and that's where he threw the ball. And I just like I just don't get it. He's off, but hoping this upcoming Friday he is on. Alabama plays Oklahoma in the first playoff game, and here's what I know for sure: Oklahoma's defense is really, really good. And I also know that Alabama turned the ball over 3 times in the first matchup against Oklahoma, which was at home. Now this game is going to be on the road, so you'd imagine it'd be even more of a difficult job to beat Oklahoma. I definitely think it's possible, but number one, you cannot turn the ball over. And number two, what I think if Alabama can get to 27, I think they win the game. And obviously you can't, turn it over 4 times and score 27 and think you're going to win, because I don't think that will happen. But, the turnover battle, you either win it, or if you can be like a -1 where, maybe you turn it over twice, they turn it over once, I think you can live with that. But it can't be 3-0, 2-0, that type of imbalance in the turnover battle, and you think you're going to win because points will be scarce. But I think the way that Oklahoma's offense has been playing lately with Mateer and still, recovering from the hand surgery, it just hasn't looked the way it did earlier in the season. So I think if Alabama can get to that number, if they can get to 27, I think they win the game. And I'm going to put my fan faith in Alabama that they will win that game. So, yeah, that's my hope, that they will take care of business. We shall see. And then last thing, it just, the Michigan coaching search, that continues to be a pretty big topic. A lot of it has been made still with Kalen DeBoer. There's a lot of Michigan fans that are set and for sure that, Kalen and DeBoer he's going to go to Michigan. If we want him, we'll get him, so on and so forth. Look, here's what I know. As fans, we like to make it seem as if we know what the heck is going on with a lot of this stuff, and we don't. Message boards, those things happen and all that good stuff. Nobody really truly knows. And even if you are on message boards and you hear someone say whatever, there's still no guarantee. People act like there's guarantees. There's not. Me personally, I don't think Kalen DeBoer is going to take the Michigan job. I could be wrong. I have no idea. I don't have any insider information, anything like that. I think the message that Kalen DeBoer, whether he likes it or not, would be sending is, I had a really good job. It was a job that was really tough. It was a job that had expectations, and it was a job that just expected to win at a really high level. And I left to go to, best case, a lateral move. You could make an argument that the Alabama job is a better job than Michigan in strictly the football. I know everybody's going to say, well, Michigan has an unlimited budget and so on and so forth. It's like, okay, great. What does the football look like lately? It hasn't looked great. So, even last season was a disaster. And you made up for it because you beat Ohio State in a huge upset, and then you wouldn't beat Alabama in the bowl game. That's great, but you were still a pretty bad team. I mean, the you watched it, you were there, but the Alex Orji, Davis Warren, experience, just it was not great. So you could easily make that argument. If you want to say he's going to have more resources at Michigan, he can do X, Y, Z. Sure, I actually agree with that, but he would be saying that message like I couldn't cut it in the pressure cooker, so I went to Michigan. And not that Michigan's a bad job. It's not. It's one of the best brands in the country. You could argue the number one brand in the country. But you've got your AD who's, I'm not sure what's going to happen there. That's in flux. You have the issue with Sharon Moore going on. That is a continued thing. There's just a whole bunch more details and stories coming out, which honestly, I'm not that interested in reading about or getting into. And also too, like, this is not just the first issue or scandal, whatever you want to call it. There's been multiple things in the last handful of years, 5 or 6 of them. You had Matt Weiss was hacking students' social media. You obviously have the Sharon Moore thing. You had the Connor Stallions thing. It's starting to ratchet up a bit as far as the issues coming out of the athletic department, specifically in football. So we'll see. I put my list out of who I think Michigan should call. I'd call Kenny Dillingham first and foremost. Like I said, if Kalen DeBoer did go to Michigan, and if I were running Alabama, we had an open a coaching vacancy, Kenny Dillingham would be my first call. I mentioned that I think Michigan should call Brian Daboll. Not sure where he's at, what kind of his mindset and all that. But those would be my first 2 calls I would make, and then we can kind of go from there. But I would make Dillingham say no. That would be my my thought process. So we'll see what happens. Not quite sure. That is it for me. Peace.